soon, and so we can start our normal living. So my name is Indra, and I will be the chair of this webinar. So I would like to welcome all of you today in this fifth webinar series of prevention and management of forests and land fires in Southeast Asia, with an emphasis on Indonesia. This webinar is actually a joint organized between the ITTO, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry Republic of Indonesia, and with the Regional Fire Research Management Center under the IPB University. So today's topic is forest fire prevention, early warning, monitoring, and field implementation. So today we are so delightful today to have three great speakers to share their expertise and experience with us. Welcome Pak Georg Bulchoh from GIZ, Dr. Agie Wandala from Indonesia Agency for Meteorology, Climatology, Geophysics, or BMKG, Indonesia, and Dr. Hoang Viet Anh from Research Institute of Forest Ecology and Environment, Vietnam Academy of Forest Science. Welcome to all of you. Thank you to join us, and hopefully we can have something new from you all to prevent our world, Indonesia, and also the Southeast Asia from the devastating forest fires in the future. So, according to the agenda from the organizers, we'll have a time for around 2 hours for this meeting. Then I think we may allocate 30 minutes for every speaker, and after that we'll have a parallel discussion after all of the speakers present their talk. So you may deliver your question through the chat room, or may raise your hand to ask directly during the discussion session after all of the speakers completed their talks. So at the end, after I conclude and summarize the webinar, there will be a photo session. As always, I think it's just like a kind of proof that we attend this important meeting. Okay, I think we can start the webinar right now. So the first talk will be delivered by Mr. Georg Bulchoh. Am I spelled right, Pak Bulchoh? George? Okay. Pak Georg Bulchoh is the Program Director of the Forest and Climate Change Program for CLIM, Technical Cooperation Module of the Dutch Gesellschaft for International Summer. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce Germany well. German, it's a GIZ, and the Ministry of Environment and Forestry within the Development Cooperation Framework between the Government of Indonesia and Germany. He additionally served as the Sector Coordinator for the German Embassy for Forest and Biodiversity. Mr. Bulchoh has been working in the forestry sector in Asia for over 20 years. In the beginning of his career, he was building up the Global Fire Monitoring Center and worked in the Integrated Forest Fire Management Project, or IFFM, in West Kalimantan. Indonesia is one of the first integrated fire management projects in Asia. Okay, Pak Bulchoh. Today Pak Bulchoh will deliver his talks on fire prevention and KPH based on our West Kalimantan experiences. Okay, Pak Bulchoh, you have 30 minutes. Time is yours, Pak Georg. Pak Bulchoh, are you there? Okay, if you have any questions, then please write in the chat box with name, institution, and to whom the question is delivered to. Okay, Pak Bulchoh, time is yours. I always like your smile, Pak Bulchoh.
You're still muted.
Pak Bulchoh is still muted. Robbie, can you help? Pak George? Is there a problem with your audio? Bang Robi, I still cannot hear.
Audio Mr. Bulchoh problem.
Pak Bulchoh, we still cannot hear you, Pak George. Pak George.
Maybe you can write on the chat box, Pak Indra.
I'm not sure. Ryan is already
Headset.
and yeah.
Problem headset.
And maybe he cannot hear us.
Pak Bulchoh. Pak George, or maybe Pak Ryan, mungkin bisa dibantu Pak Ryan. Pak George ini ada di mana ya di posisinya ya?
Posisi di Bali, Pak.
Oh, di Bali. Mungkin bisa di apa?
Problem headset
ya, atau di call Pak George-nya.
Tadi coba.
Coba ya, makasih Pak Ryan.
Maybe the next presenter can present first.
Okay, I think if Pak George is still trying, I think we can move to another presenters, Pak Agie. Maybe Pak George will deliver his talk after Pak Agie. Pak Agie. Pak Agie is an expert on meteorology, weather forecast, and warning, applied meteorology for industry and climate economics in Indonesia Agency for Meteorology, Climatology, Geophysical, or BMKG. So he also involved in the task team on global met alarm system, GMS, in World Meteorological Organization, WMO, expert on development feasibility study of Fiji meteorology services on numerical weather prediction and flood early warning system. Development on multi-hazard early warning system in Pacific Island country, Kingdom of Tonga, Solomon Island, and Papua New Guinea. Implement national digital forecast on sub-district services in Indonesia, and implement the Indonesia National Impact-Based Forecast Platform. Wow, a lot of experience, Pak Agie. I really love to hear your presentation then. Then Pak Agie will deliver his thoughts on BMKG's fire danger rating system for forest fire mitigation and prevention. Okay, time is yours, Pak Agie.
Okay, so can I clarify? So it's going to be 30 minutes, ya Pak? For
okay, ngomong, please.
Oh, okay, thank you very much, Pak Indra, and all ITTO and all participants. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon for everyone who joined on the meeting room this afternoon. Thank you very much for having me in this really great opportunity to having all of the participants and discuss more about the activities of the fire mitigations and also preventions. Again, my name is Agie Wandala Putra, or you can call me Agie, and right now I involve or in charge of the early warning divisions in BMKG. For your information, that on the early warning divisions in BMKG, we not only really handle about the weather forecasting or warning, but it's also there is a really specific criteria like cyclone and also forest fire rating system. So this is really good opportunity to me to share to all of you, and also for myself also getting a new idea and another perspective, since the BMKG right now try to strengthen the capacity, the involvement, and also the engagement on the forest fire prevention is also the mitigations. So let me come into the presentations, and I also would like to invite if you have any more interest and also questions on the chat box or another discussion sessions. And at the end of the presentations, I would like also take my opportunity to show you the latest platform that I or my team just developed that we expect that can really use for all organizations, public, and also people who really interest with the forest fire mitigations and preventions in terms of the weather forecasting. So again, I would like to start my talk with the conditions of or the current situation with the forest fire in Indonesia, as the note that made by many researchers that since the changing of the global environmental change, which is in line with the climate change, or we can say that the global warming. So the issue of the carbon emission is really increase and more become a strong topic that we need to solve. If you also aware that since the learning process since the last decade, and also the example for 2015, for example, the issue of the transboundary haze is become a critical point, since the effect of the public is quite big, large, and also give certain worse impact to the human, like the asthma and also the interactions of the human activities. Anyway, this condition is not just only for Indonesia as the area or countries with the really large forests, but it's also become the regional issue, since the transboundary haze also cross the area through the another countries, which is we also have neighborhood countries like Malaysia, Brunei, and also good that this afternoon also we have the one expert from Vietnam. So anyway, I recall the reference that made by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry that I'm not really sure this is the decisions, but or the conclusions, but there is the score or the value on this table is quite interesting, because if we have a look that on the forest fire mitigations, also preventions, we much refer to Canada and also US, which is the interactions between the human and nature is mostly 50-50. So we can say from Canada, all the technology that we refer, which is we can see from the nature. But if you have a look on the Indonesia, it mostly almost close to the human activities. But again, the interactions or the social effect that made this score impact the cause of the forest fire in Indonesia, we need also to see the nature conditions, because when people live or stay in one area, of course, we need to taking care about the climate situations and how people interact with the nature conditions. So these are things we need to also start to recognize how actually Indonesian's nature, especially on the climate interactions, the weather conditions also affect on the social and also economy interactions through the forest fire conditions. So anyway, when we have a look on the forest fire and also early warning, of course, we can start with really simple basis of the idea of the early warnings. We can start with the local wisdom, like when farmers recognize when the started of the rainfall. So they also can start to have a look that there is a certain period that is going to be really danger if they start to burn the area, or give some strategy to open the field for farming. But if you have a look on this table, we can start the early detections with the really small method on the risk communications. We can really use the fire danger rating from the really simple idea, or we can also start with a really good strategy close to the really good detections from the long range into the really casting period to implement how is actually the best guidance or the planning for forest fire intervention. So these are the things that I believe on the end of the sessions we can use all this informations, and I expect that all of us can use the BMKG product to prevent the forest fire conditions. There's one small graphic in the picture. So this is the idea of the fluctuations of the period of hotspot. But the idea is, from our experience, the pattern of the forest fire is actually already recognized years by year. So this character or this kind of experience is going to be good that we can use as the reference for decision support tools in the future. Okay, so then people will asking that, let's throw back to the 2015, for example, that conditions or those conditions is not really a things that not really detected as from the meteorologists or many scientists on the conditions. We're talking about the La Nina, the anomaly of the weather conditions or climate in Indonesia. But then people thinking that, do we really respond on the early warning that already made by the agency or made by the governments? Of course, we will talk about many things. We will discuss about why should be the early warning not really efficient. So if we talk about that things, we will start with the mechanism, of course. The mechanism from the hazard to disaster really maybe not really clearly understood by the people. And then another point that always we put on the background that the environment is already changed. But is that mean that environment change not or we cannot ensure on the good way? So this is the things that we also need to take care. And then the people are helpless. Maybe the warning and risk information is not really fully understood. If we're talking about the situations, so we were talking that, do we really necessarily need, or the early warning is really important to provide for the public? And then the last things that we already have the technology, we try with all equipment, with all organizations that we respond to, we use the informations to be merged and become the good early warning system. So the question is there any early warning system that we can use? Or maybe the early warning system is not really functional well. So this all conditions need to be our reference that thanks to the technology, thanks to the solutions that we had as the human with the engineering technology, with the computations technology, so we can use it as a strong point to move forward, to intervene the forest fire in a good way, to choose the best strategy, and also to share all knowledge between one organization to the other, and we move with the right path. So myself, mostly we handle the operations of the weather forecasting. So I will give you why BMKG is the mandatory from the government to keeping the early warning information for forest fire is quite important on this level. So basically, the basic information that we have on the system, we provide with start, of course, with the observation system. Again, thanks to technology, now we can really easy to integrate all the equipment of the system. We can start from the basic, from the observations tool on the ground. And I believe my colleagues in the KLHK has so many equipment like automatic weather stations that we can integrate to all of the system. And also now, thanks to the remote sensing technology that we can also use and embed it to the system to monitor all the, we can start from the ground level, and also we can monitor the change of the weather situation. So with this compact technology, we moving into the information system, and then we start to early warning. So basically, the whole process with a really support service, we can integrate it easily. So the idea is we need to understand what is actually user needs. So then also that we need to clarify or classify what is actually how we can respond to a good early warning for forest fire preventions. Before I start on the detail of the technical aspect, I invite you a bit back on the main concept of the multi-hazard early warning system. So basically, when we start to communicate about the risk communications to the public, which is we start with the warning. If we're talking about the warning, of course, we will talk about the probability of the affecting for the asset or the people, the possible impact, or we need to define what is actually the targeted persons or a subject that we need to define, because each sector is going to be different. But then the technology of the blue part, the hazard information. So this is the area that everyone need to sit down together. We need to on the same table. We can use all the resources that Indonesia has on the observation system. We can do the observations, the monitoring, analysis, forecasting, and mapping, and try to make the good analysis of the risk. The assessment need to fulfill with the really strong analysis. We can expose the, not just only start from the threat, not just start from the hazard, because so many years recently, we're talking about the hazard only. We're talking about the El Nino. We're talking about the high rainfall or really low rainfall. But then we also need to transform that. We need to talk about the risk analysis also. So that's why BMKG also start to using the data of the exposure, the vulnerability, to be a part of this assessment. So then we will know how is actually the interactions between the nature into the people. So this is the idea. That's why BMKG also start to change the risk-based information as the main part. So all of us can take the actions. We can disseminate, we can communicate all the informations, but then we need also prepare. And the most important is respond in the best way, because the strategy is not really can work well if we not take a really best actions on it. So all this flow, the feedback or the responsibility, each part of the system need to really or clearly define. So then the good early warning systems can really implement well. So this is the idea. So in terms of the early warning itself, we talk as the duty of the BMKG. Again, thanks to all the development, the current development of the system or technology, we can start on the flow of the early warning itself. We can start from the hazard detections, as I mentioned earlier, and then we can start with the hazard assessment before we talk about the impact of that hazard or that threat. So when we define on the level of the scale, we need to use this all information, start from the long range forecast. The last part, the nowcasting or the medium range forecast as the final strategy of the interventions, we can say that's the last strategy that we will use. So let's invite everyone to start to use all the reference of the informations to prepare the forest fire prevention from the long range and also the extended range forecast. The idea is when we, let's say now we are on the rainy seasons in Indonesia, but then we need to prepare next year how it's going to be the impact. We talk about the La Nina. We receive much rainfall in this period, but we need also taking care that how the possibility in the next year, so we can prepare and not really, not really impacted by the current situation, which is everything's like looks good. So this is the idea. This flow, so we can start after we provide the good warning. We can disseminate, we can try to communicate with the risk, good risk. So the best preventions, the best mitigation we can choose for forest fire strategy. Okay, I can say to all of you that if we talk about the lead time of forecasting, right now we can talk about the seasonal predictions. We can talk not just only next week or next month, but also we can talk about how is actually the weather or the climate on the 6 month or even 12 month. that's called the seasonal forecast. And also we can transform it to the sub-seasonal forecast through the lower scale of the time being. But then of course the accuracy is going to be sometimes lower. Of course, the best performance of the forecast we can talk with the close to short range or nowcasting itself. So what is the point? Again, on the prevention purpose or the actions on the field, of course, we can use the forecasting of weather for forest fire really close for the 7 days or 10 days. But then on the strategic part, we also can use the longer time periods for preventions. Okay, again, that in Indonesia, BMKG is mandatory given by the government to provide the forest fire forecast, and also given for disseminate and communicate to the public since the 2009 on the law of the Republic of Indonesia, number 31. And if you see on the article 31, that we need also to provide routine informations, and also on the another article that is also mentions, we clearly mentions that the information need also contain about the forest and land fires potentials. And again, with the good collaborations with the Ministry of Forestry, that also we jointly on the ATHP forum to give the information, not just only talking about the Indonesian area right now, but also talk about the regions. So if we have a look the transformations, actually all the work have been done since 1999. So everyone start to understand that know that how important the detections of the forest fire. And then the technology changed, the method also changed, using many methods with the observations, with the remote sensings. And then through the latest development is 2008 actually in BMKG. And then I'm joined to the early warning divisions in 2018 and start to develop the new one, 2019, with the new platform of the Fair Danger Rating System. And I'm happy to introduce to all of you. We call it as the SPARTAN, Sistem Peringatan Dini Kebakaran Hutan dan Lahan, which is, this is the transformations of the FDRS in Indonesia. If you, some of you not really clear about the Fair Danger Rating System. So in Indonesia, the Fair Danger Rating System mostly based on the indices that developed by Canada from the Fair Weather Index. You can have a look on the Van Wagner and also Dowdy, and also the group. The latest report and also work have been done also together with us in another agency. And you can see we can start really basic on the early warning or early detections of forest fire with the temperature, relative humidity, wind, and rainfall. So in fact, this is the area that BMKG involved much on the detections with the daily forecasting, weekly, or even the monthly forecasting. So then the transformations in the last development, finally, we produced with the new numerical weather predictions data. And also right now we also transform all so the FDRS has two kind of the product, observations and also the predictions or forecasts. Right now we also transform it. In earlier we used only the WRF modeling before, but then we try to transform it, and the area of the responsibility of the forecasting, including also the ASEAN countries and of course the Indonesia on the provinces basis. So last year we glad to introduce to you the SPARTAN or Sistem Peringatan Kebakaran Hutan dan Lahan. So in terms of the translations of the FDRS, the purpose is not only just change the name, but the change of the method and also the performance. Since we use the new data with the new dense observations, also we merged with the new remote sensing area. So we expect that the public and also the stakeholder can really implement on really high resolutions area for the interventions. If you interest with the standard product, so you can have a look on the existing on the BMKG website, and also it's available through or for the decision support tools with the Geospatial Information Network. Okay, so before I start to demonstrate to you how is actually the warning will going to be work, this is the basic idea of the system. So if we just only talk of the FDRS, so we talk about the detections that refer to the weather conditions into the indexes, including the soil and also about the surface conditions of the forest. Inside the FDRS itself, it's available with the observations and forecast, as I mentioned earlier. And then the transformation is quite big, because before we managed with the 27 kilometers, but now we start to have a look with the 11 kilometers as the standard. But then also we start implement the new interpolations method to be more high-res to use by the people. And also the productions, we will provide the all province. So if you, all the participants or some of you come from the province, so you can really use the informations and inform to the local government to start how to using the early preventions from the weather informations. So this is the example, the standard product of the observations and the forecast, but I'm not really talk about the mechanism or method, because if you have a look on the indexes that's available on the system, so you can will get the fair weather index that refer to the algorithm that used in Canada. So basically we'll use the wind speed, humidity, rainfall, and temperature. Basically it's going to be divided by the field moisture codes and also fair behavior index. So inside of it, you will find the FMMC, Dove moisture code, drought code, and if you have a look on the fair behavior index, you can find the initial spread index, build-up index, fair weather index. I will give you just one example. For example, the field moisture codes, you can have or check the conditions on the FFMC on the really surface layer, DMC in the middle, and also the drought code really more deep area. So on the FWS systems, the fuel layer is different in each area, in the depth and also the sensitivity with the different weather parameters. If you're interested about this area, so use the time so you can leave your message for questions. So start to introduce to you soon in the 1st December to 2021. BMKG will start the soft launching of the platform, what we call as the SPARTAN. If you may aware that I mentioned earlier, from the FDRS, we changed the SPARTANs not just only as the paradigms, but also we start to change from a system, a single system, into platform. So, ladies and gentlemen, BMKG start to make one platform for everyone, not just only the public, academia, maybe you are a researcher, or maybe you are from the stakeholder who can really respond on the early warning. So soon you can join with us on the spartan.bmkg.co.id. You can go right now, but it still have some development, but you can have a look on the main idea or the system. Right now, on the latest versions, BMKG provide the basic standard of the SPARTAN index or the fair danger rating system inside the system. The second, you can also have a look on the decision support system that can use for the fair danger preventions for the local government or for the national government. We also merge data from our colleagues from BRINS with the GeoSpot or hotspot, and also GeoSpot that we generate from the Himawari satellite. Inside the system, as we understand that sometime when we try to prevent or give the interventions of the forest fire, we also did weather modification. So I also put the weather radar monitoring inside the system. also basic of the satellite, and the most important also about the smoke detections. So you can use in the real time for the decisions and the actions that we need to put together. The visibility data, precipitations, weather forecast, of course, and also smoke forecast. Okay, and this is the basic of the page or the platform if you interested to have a look. So I think I still have 2 minutes to demonstrate to you. So you can have a look and join with us, because we will openly, if you also develop certain of system. Right now, the indexes will be fully available on the page, on the website, the fan field measure code until the fair weather index. But also you can check the radar, satellite, and also observations. And also if you also one of developer of the system, so just call me or email to us, so we can also have a look at your system and integrate to the BMKG system. So the new system, you can also use or recall the data on the previous period. The purpose is to generate that if one area can learn from the previous data and also take a better actions in the coming future. And in terms of the preventions, so you can also have a look the real-time conditions of the weather monitoring. So this is the really real time. Our college in East Java right now is spread by heavy rainfall, I think, and also in Bali and another area. But also you can recheck with another our facility and also another data like the reflectivity. We can use it if one area it really prone with the hotspot, for example, and also some area really get the impact of the smoke area. So this is the other example. And I would like to also introduce to you, we can use the monitoring of the day without the rain. Yeah. So this is the really good start to implement the strategic. So it's going to be green right now because we're glad that right now is the rainfall seasons. But when we close to the dry seasons, we can prepare as fast as we can. So thanks for having me into the really short presentations, and I will be very happy if you interest on the merging of platform that I just introduced to all of you. And I hope that all the work have been done from the KLHK, IPB, and also ITTO can really support the interventions, the best strategic for forest fire mitigation. So thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay. Thank you so much, Pak Agie. What a great and interesting presentation. I know there should be a lot of questions for Pak Agie, but please hold on, keep your questions. It's the time for Pak Georg to present his talk. Pak Georg, are you there, Pak Georg? Okay, nice. I love your smile, Pak Georg. Sorry for the delay for your presentation. So Pak Georg is the program director. Then I will share a little for his CV. So Mr. Georg Bulchoh is the program director of the Forest and Climate Change Program for CLIM, a technical cooperation module of the Dutch GIZ-Jerman International Zusammenarbeit. Maybe I think you can revise my pronunciation, Pak Georg. I'm sorry, I couldn't pronounce German well. So, and also the Ministry of Environment and Forestry within the Development Cooperation Framework within the Government of Indonesia and Germany. He additionally served as the sector coordinator for the German Embassy for Forest and Biodiversity. Mr. Bulchoh Georg has been working in the forestry sector in Asia for over 20 years. In the beginning of his career, he was building up the Global Fire Monitoring Center and worked in the Integrated Forest Fire Management Project IFM in West Kalimantan, Indonesia, one of the first integrated fire management projects in Asia. So today, Pak Georg will give his talks on fire prevention and KPH based on our West Kalimantan experiences. You have 30 minutes, Pak Georg. Hopefully this time your audio is going well. So time is yours, Pak Georg, please.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yep, great.
Wonderful. May I ask for the presentation and to start my intervention? First of all, thanks a lot that I can present here. It's a big honor to present in the ITTO framework. As we all remember, the ITTO guidelines on fire management in tropical forest 1997 was one of the first official documents. So this is a very exciting moment for me. Allow me to present some of our lessons learned of Forclim working on fire prevention and the KPH system, the Forest Management Unit system in Indonesia. Looking at the participant list, I also see that Pak Gatot is joining. He was involved in the support from Forclim in West Kalimantan. Very happy to share our lessons learned. Next slide, please. What we have been doing in the past was supporting fire prevention within the KPH context. That means technical advice for the Ministry of Environment and Forestry and fire-related institutions based on the ministerial decree of 2016, where basically the mandate of the FMUs of the KPHs has been defined to support fire prevention. There was conceptual support in the development of regulation guidelines, a technical advice for a KPH-based provincial fire prevention concept, implementation of training measures and capacity development and technical advice. For Forclim, it's always important to have field-level interactions. So our pilot province was West Kalimantan, and there especially the Forest Management Unit Kubaya. Please, next slide. But let us first look a little bit at the context. This is a visualization of the 2015 and 2016 fires. And as we all are aware, in the Indonesian context, wildfires are burning on forest land, kawasan hutan, and RPL, and non-forest land. So if we are looking at all the statistics, we always have to realize that it's a very complex situation about different land use types, different responsibilities, and that not everything is a forest fire, that it's a land fire, but also that there are different intensities, and of course of a special significance nowadays, fires that are burning on peat areas. This is just to show a little bit the context of the complexity within our Indonesian setting. Next slide, please. But also a visualization of the institutional setup. Also, as mentioned by my colleague from BMKG before, there are different institutions responsible for fire prevention and fire management. It's on the one side, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the MOHA. There are responsibilities of the peat agency, BAG, and there's a big responsibility within the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. And here again, we have to differentiate between the Manggala Agni and the, let's call it, national implementation branches, and the Provincial Forestry Service, which has the responsibility or the mandate of the guidance and the implementation of the forest management units, the KPHs. So you basically see the 3 to 4 players involved, and our specific support was focusing on the context within the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and there especially on the KPH setup. Next slide, please. As mentioned before, the Forest Management Unit, or the KPH, has since 2016 a clear regulatory framework and guidance with the ministerial decree on forest and land fire control. And our support was basically looking into these guidelines and providing targeted technical advice for implementation and partnering with a local forest management unit in West Kalimantan. Next slide, please. Let us have a brief reminder, what does integrated fire management mean? These are fire management activities concerned with the protection of people, property, land areas from unwanted fires, and with the use of fire as a land management tool. So it's the so-called integrated fire management offers a holistic framework to manage fires and consists of the elements of prevention, the risk reduction, preparedness, readiness, suppression, response, protection, restoration, rehabilitation, data collections, and analysis. From our current setup, it was, I think, very, very nice that BMKG showed the early warning system, which is, of course, one important and essential input for fire preventions. So what we would like to share in the next slides is a little bit lessons learned of the field work and the field realities. Next slide, please. One thing that is really essential for the fire community to understand is the KPH. The KPH role in forest management is a field-based unit. So these are field offices with resorts, with staff in the field, close to the forest, close to fire risk, and close to communities working in and around the forest. Next slide, please. And in regards to the elements of fire prevention in the KPH mandate, what we have been supporting and what is now a standard operating procedure within West Kalimantan is our so-called fire management plans. So basically plans within the forest management unit, within the KPH, to anticipate what are preparedness stage, what are standard operation procedures to react when the fire danger is increasing. Early warning system was mentioned. BMKG has already an existing system, but it is essential how this information is basically digested on a local level. So standard operating procedures are important. Communication with stakeholders on local level are important, and extension work in all matters are important. You see this map here. This is a fire risk map that has been done within the context of West Kalimantan. So these are now also standardized products available to guide decision makers how to proceed. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. We had the normal activities, training and inventory work and so on. These are just some pictures. Please, next slide. However, what I think is exciting and always should be noted, local innovation. I find this quite a nice picture how the GenSec is protected, a little warning light. So we really like these local innovations. There have been a lot of research also done by the local university, new products and so on done. So exciting things to look at. Next slide. We of course also produced our information products and local guidelines. I would like to especially put your attention to the Bantuan Pelaksanaan Kegiatan Pengendalian Kebakaran Hutan dan Lahan issued by the province of West Kalimantan. Later on in the presentation we have the link as well. This is a very nice document to show how the overall province has reacted within the KPH level. Of course, standard operating procedures, guidelines, and so on have been produced in this project. Next slide. However, what I wanted to share and mention is what for us were important lessons learned of the KPH and fire management. As I think we all agree as well in the fire community, the focus is on fire prevention. But fire prevention from our point of view means also a wider scope. That means extension, for example, for water management in peat areas, rehabilitation, or agroforestry activities that are basically supporting local farmers in agricultural practices that might
Halo Pak George. Halo Pak George.
that do not require a fire.
Okay.
So this is sometimes an issue.
Halo Pak George. Halo Pak George.
Yeah, can we go back one slide? We got disconnected.
Okay,
Sorry about
okay.
that.
Robi.
Now, please back.
Sebelumnya Robi.
Yeah.
Slide sebelum. Nah.
Going further, realizing that it's a very complex institutional landscape. So the KPH, in a way, has to find their niche and their role between the DAOPs and the Mangala Agni. And from us, it was very exciting to see that integrated fire prevention brigades, together with other institutions, are feasible ways for the future. Coordination, a very important part, and the KPH is an important role in this context. I would also like to highlight on the latest developments in regards to, for example, the Omnibus Law, where the FMU has a new mandate or a redefined mandate, and fire prevention, from our point of view, is still very much one of the core intervention or core function of the FMU. And last but not least, communicate, best to do can-do messages. So what we can do, for example, in agroforestry, then cannot, as a suggestion for the communication. Next slide, please. As a final point from our point of view, I think all elements of fire management are existing in Indonesia. However, like in many other countries, there's always improvement possible on coordination and knowledge management. So actually a situation that we find in many other countries as well. And something that is really important from the foreclimate context is to realize that in the fire emergency, everybody comes. You know, a lot of attention from national level, disaster mitigation, and also a lot of funds to be allocated. However, after a fire, all these people are also going away. The only stuff that remains is this stuff from the KPH, is the stuff, the extension workers. So from our point, the KPH has a very important part in fire prevention, and we are quite happy to look at the process so far, what has been achieved in West Kalimantan, and encourage participants to have a look at the guidelines. Next slide. Maybe as an inspiration also for other stakeholders, I would like to sincerely say my thanks for our partners in Kalaka, working together with the fire control departments, working together with the authorities in West Kalimantan was a very rewarding exercise. And for us, we are very happy for this cooperation. So much from my side. Sorry about the technical problems. I hope that it was understandable, and look forward then to the remaining discussion.
Okay, thank you, Pak Georg. Thank you, Pak. You always give us some a better and another side, for the implementation of fire prevention in the field. So it's really nice to hear some lesson learned from Pak Georg, and I think there is some link between Georg's presentation and Pak Agie presentation. But I think there should be some just in the good and close coordination between each country in the ASEAN, I think. And I think this will be conveyed by Dr. Hoang. Okay, Dr. Hoang Viet Anh is currently a researcher at Research Institute of Forest Ecology and Environment, Vietnam Academy of Forest Science, a leading research institute in ecology study, forest environment and application of GIS, GIS and remote sensing in forest management in Vietnam. He has been working as a forester and GIS researcher for 20 years and has been involved as a senior scientist in the National Forest Information System, or in FIS. Yeah, I see in the chat room that you already talk much with Pak Agie. So I think your talk should be more than interesting for us. Okay, Pak Agie, the last but not least presenters. You have 30 minutes. Pak Hoang, time is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Should I share my screen or the host in,
which one is better for you?
I think I can share screen myself.
Okay, please. Okay, thank you, Pak Hoang.
Good afternoon, everyone. It was a very interesting topic, and I enjoyed the talk about the SPARTAN system and also the example from GIZ. From my side, I'm kind of a more generalist. I'm not an expert in forest fire, but more on the kind of integration of different application into the forest monitoring system. So for this talk, I'm talking on behalf of Vietnam Forest Protection Department. I'm from the Vietnam Forest Academy of Forest Science, but most of this data is coming from Forest Protection Department, FPD. For my topic, we don't have like new research like SPARTAN. I simply just presenting what we have been used in Vietnam for forest fire monitoring and prevention. So a very quick introduction about Vietnam forest condition. We have about 14 million hectare forests, which cover more than 40% of our country. About 2/3 of this is natural forest, and 1/3 it's plantation forest. So this is the how the trend of forest cover in Vietnam. You see, we have a very deep forest cover in the 1990s, but after that we have the forest protection and development program, and the overall forest cover is growing up to 40% and now to about 42%, and it's we hope it's stable. So together with this trend, we see a kind of in general the decline of both the forest number of forest fire and the area of forest fire. So on average, we have about a little bit more than 1,000 forest fire a year, and that's damage about 2,000 hectares per year. And 30% of this is on natural forest, and 70% is on place and plantation. On the right, you will see we call the hotspot area for forest fire. So on the hierarchical of forest protection and fire prevention, on the top we have VN Forest, that stands for Vietnam Forestry Administration. So it's under the Ministry of Agriculture and Forest Development. So under VN Forest, we have Central Forest Protection Department, or we call short FPD. So this organization is the center for master planning and operating of the satellite-based forest fire monitoring. Of course, it's not only for forest fire monitoring, but for forest protection in own aspect. But for this topic, we focus on forest fire. And then we have the sub-FPD on every province. So we have 61 provinces that have forests, and about 500 districts, and about 12,000 commune. At each of this level, we also have FPD or sub-FPD with a person presented on the field and for forest protection, and they are also trained and equipped with like equipment for forest fire. So this that's some example of a forest fire in Vietnam. On the left, we have a very big forest fire in Cà Mau. It's a peatland area with Malalaika. So it's we have a huge forest fire in 2002. That's burned a few thousand hectares. I know maybe in other country a few thousand hectares forest fire is not big, but in Vietnam it's huge. And some people high up in the ministry lost their job for this. So after that, we kept really changing the forest fire prevention and have a new investment. So on the middle, we have typical forest fire prevention strip. So we have to clear area for forest fire to just breaking the forest fire, whether it's a strip of land or have a water. We have a forest fire watchtower, sometimes with people to actively observe during the dry season, or now sometimes we have the camera that can automatically detect fire or smoke. And then in every province, in every year, we have conduct extensive training for both province and sub-provincial level on forest fire operation. So in 2007, FPD Vietnam, we installed a system called a TerraScan station. It's a commercial system from the US, and that acquire data first from Moody's, and then also from NOAA, and later from satellite from Japan. So using this station and a commercial system that come with the station, we can calculate the the forest fire point about 1 hour after each satellite pass. So today, like each day, we have about 6 reading, and that have store on a server and then to a web application with together with many other background information. For example, forest status, forest function, satellite imagery, and other kind of map. And this service is used by a forest ranger in the local authority. That means both province and sub-province level. They receive this through email and SMS, and they can also check the file map on the website for Forest Watch. So this is a schema of the receiving station and the calculation of hotspot. And this is the website Fire Watch, where we store and disseminate the fire, the forest fire detection, and send it to forest ranger or relevant organization throughout the country. So together with the Fire Watch, we also having a system called Vietnam Forest Information System. So this system it's a centralized forest monitoring that run down to plot level. So for the whole country, the system have about 7 million plots that it's updated annually with the change in forest and forestry land, that including activity that being conducted on the forest, incident, for example, illegal logging or illegal forest clearance, or change in land use, or change in forest ownership. This system have over 30 attributes that including the owner, the land owner function, forest type, species, volume, and size condition. So we using this together with forest fire information, so we can send the notification to the correct person, because when we just simply querying the format system, and we know if the fire has happened on what the owner, is it in a company or an individual household, or whether it's on a plantation forest or natural forest, or it's in a national park. So this is an example where we build the provincial level forest fire monitoring system. So on the top we have the centralized forest fire detection. So it's both fire detection and forest risk forecasting. We have the format system, where we have a forest plot and forest resources, and combine it together. We have the provincial monitoring system. So on the map show here, we have the fire prediction, the fire detection we send to province, and on each of these 5 points, they know the forest type and also the owner. So every day, the FPD at local level, they receive an email on SMS summarizing the number of fire they have on that day, and we can send it for several times a day. And for the blue, you see the blue file here. That means the file has been visited, or somehow they can confirm it through the connection with local people. So they confirm it whether it's a true, the file is true or fails, because sometimes, you know, the detection from satellite can have errors. They also report back if the fire is a natural cause, or it's because of people are just clearing their land for new plantation, or it's illegal forest fire, for example. So we see this. We implemented this in several provinces, and we have very positive feedback. So actually, the data is simple, but when we couple it with forest, with detailed forest information, and we also have a feedback loop of checking and confirming the forest fire in the field. It makes the monitoring much more efficient. So for the outlook, we hope that as the presentation from GIZ have been highlighted, we also hoping that the forest fire prevention need to include the human factor. So we need to improve the training and communication to reduce the human impact, human-induced forest fire. So every year we actually carry out a lot of training, both at the provincial level, but also at the grassroots level, for people to the importance of practicing that can cause and can reduce the forest fire. We also hope to improve the accuracy of fire detection through the upgrading the detection algorithm, also the feedback loop from the field, and also with machine learning. Also, we see it's important to leverage the technology to deliver the forest fire risks and forecast to grassroots level. So whether it's to individual forest owner or anyone who have a mobile phone, if the forest fire happen near the place, they will be informed if they install an appropriate mobile application. We also see the opportunity to for improvement is when the forest fire is already occur. So we want to be to have improvement in forest fire fighting planning and operation. I mean, using, for example, a drone for surveying the fire area, and to provide real-time situation mapping, and having kind of a control center to mobilize the resources in province, in police, in and people and organization in the province who could help to for forest fire. Also, like I see the presentation about the SPARTAN system. It's very interesting. So we also would like to explore the option to so that we can use the system, the data from the system such as SPARTAN to improve our risk forecasting model. In the same time, we can provide the feedback loop, because we have people on the field who can provide and confirm the condition for both risk modeling and fire detection. Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for the organizer to invite us to this very important event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hoang. What a great presentation. And it's really opened our mind that Vietnam also has a good fire prevention system, Dr. Hoang. Yeah. And I'm taking an interest of what Pak George said, that communication, coordination, and knowledge management sharing between stakeholders is important. Then I put some very close relation between the presentation from Pak Agie, Pak George, and also Pak Hoang, that there should be a way to coordinate each other to realize what we call it the Asian FDRS. Yeah, I think that's okay. That's still a lot of time. Maybe we have around 35 minutes for discussion. So I see there is a lot of discussion here. Maybe I think most of them was already discussed by Pak Agie and Dr. Farachai and Dr. Hoang. So, maybe the first is coming from Pak Ahmad Suprianto. Maybe you can ask yourself, Pak Ahmad Suprianto. Pak Ahmad Suprianto, you can deliver your question directly to Pak Agie. I think Pak Agie already answered, but I think it's better to discuss directly to make a more clear question and answer here in the forum. So Pak Suprianto, you want to ask yourself? Pak Suprianto? Okay, if not, I will read this Pak Suprianto question to Pak Agie. Pak Agie, has BMKG made a standard platform in each province or district in making FDRS analysis and publishing standards for the result of FDRS analysis to the public? I think this may relate also to the question from Dr. Hoang. So can the platform of SPARTAN can be replicated to the cases? Okay, Pak Agie.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Indra, and also Pak Suprianto for delivering really important keywords on the sessions. So I will start with technologies that we have on the development of Verdager rating system or SPARTAN that I just introduced to all of you. So all of the detections approach on the weather conditions and climate is approached by the numerical weather predictions. So we start with the technology that already available in the world, which is we recently received also from the GPDFS, or global provider of the numerical weather predictions. Also we even also develop in BMKG itself. With all situations of the scale and also the resolutions, of course, we will come into a topic that how the informations can transform into high resolutions for the user. So this is the concept that I deliver on the SPARTAN, that we learned, as I just discussed on the chat box also, that the calibrations, also the setting of the each FDRS is going to be really need to be clarified on each area. So I can understand that the interactions of the forest fire prevention also need with the local approach also. So that's the idea, that finally we happy can provide really high resolutions data that also can use in the coming future with the all stakeholder, user, and also the public to really learn from the flow or the patterns of the data. Of course, we can say that in every model has its own error and or its own minimum accuracy, but at least we can use the early informations for the approach of the mitigations, yeah, Pak Indra. So my idea is we glad in Indonesia we also have every province of the BMKG office, and also especially in Sumatra and Kalimantan, who really involved with the forest fire prevention. So the idea is that we can also collaborate in not just only on the national level, but it's also on the local and also provincial level. So we can learn the nature, the characteristic, the patterns, how it actually, the forest fire, we can stop it before it start to raise up. So that's the idea. And I can say the last things for the first questions. All the setting and also the standard is open to get input from the university or researcher. So in every province, we can use it as the best standard for each area. Pak Indra.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Agie. Is there anything you want to add, Pak Dr. Hoang? I think for the collaboration between SPARTAN from BMKG and also the Vietnamese system.
Yeah, I see a great potential for collaboration, and I think because I don't have my college at Vietnam Forest Protection Department here, but I will share this with them because I think why the science is there, but to actually put operation system together, it's also quite a technically challenge. So if SPARTAN already leveraging the hard work and already produce a operational product, so why not collaborate and share the result? Of course, we can figure out a way to collaboration, like we can provide the field testing for your model, and also if we going to have a collaboration and integrate it into the official fire risk forecasting for Vietnam, then we need a way to see that the SPARTAN it's there to stay. So like we don't want if the minister someday come and then see that why the science is great, but maybe SPARTAN it's close or changing the focus. So I think we need like we need to work together to work out the collaboration.
Okay, here in the chat room that Meteorological Malaysia is in the process to upgrade ASEAN FDRS to be an early warning system with weather forecast input from WRF. Can you give us some insight of this, Dr. Farachai?
Well, yes. It's a couple of months ago, the Met Malaysia upgrade their system. They got the funding, and they have the mandate to operate on the 5-day rating system for ASEAN. So they would like to move from the station, the data from the station to the forecast station, forecast system to become early warning system. But they're still in the process of the software. I mean, like writing the code to do so. So they're asking us because we also have the forecast system for Upper ASEAN, the new calibration because of the Build the Good and then the Robert Field asking, I think like for Build the Good 10 years ago, but we finished it like 6-7 years ago. And we have a different threshold value for Upper ASEAN. So it's a little bit different from the one that Park Agie has at the BMKG, because that the calibration based on a peat forest, and we're doing it on the land forest, we should say that. So now we have a little bit better, not good, but better. We're supposed to calibrate further, but this is what the best we can do, but to just improve it. And then the Met Malaysia, they would like to also integrate this new threshold system in that new system. But this threshold system already gave it to Build the Good to run it for the, I don't know, global model that he having in the, I think in German for the Johann Goldammer place in, I don't know, Freiburg.
Freiburg.
Yeah. Right. So they have it, but then that seasonal forecast with the very low resolution, that you can look at that as well. But we are doing like for 6-day forecast only, because like Pak Agie said, like after 3 days, the forecast accuracy is very low. You know, so it's just a trend. But we are moving in the right direction. I would say that. Yes, just to want to add that. Thank you.
Okay. Sound very interesting ya Pak Agie ya. Dan I think in the future I think we can collaborate ya Pak Agie ya, collaborate with Vietnam, Indonesia, and also Malaysia, just to improve this Asian FDRS to be more powerful to give us the better way to prevent our area from the forest fires.
Yeah. Pak Indra, may I?
Okay. Pak Agie.
Thank you. Really good insight, from Pak Deraja, is that it's good and glad to hear that Malaysia start to ingest the additional model for perform a better accuracy of the forecast, and we can transform it into warnings. And I can also share the experience on the I will classify it on the forest fire propose and also the weather characteristic, because if we talk about the patterns of the weather forecast, of course we can compare it with one and another models as the reference for the weather conditions. But the forest fire, we talk with longer time period, not just only 1 or 3 days, but also maybe we'll talk with the short range until the medium or also extended forecast range. So it's going to be a tricky situations, because if we talk about the performance, like the WARF, it's going to be debatable, because in Indonesia or Malaysia, and let's say the area is close to the tropical belt, so it's going to be big questions, because we talk about the really low performance of the numerical weather predictions in our area. But anyway, that's a really good move that we can share in the future, Pak Deraja, Pak Hoang, that finally in BMKG we using the approach what we call as the multi-model approach, not really the ensemble, but this multi-model approach that we can also consider to compare and also implement in really different approach of the model. So the performance is going to be better, of course, including with the new standard of the threshold and also the validations. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Pak Agie. And I just remember that Pak George said that it should be related to the local knowledge, to the local people there. As Dr. Ma asked to Pak George, Dr. Ma, would you like to ask directly to Pak George? Dr. Ma? Okay, maybe I will read.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Putra, for your moderation. I congratulate you, your very sweet moderation. Also, I like to congratulate the three speakers, Pak Agie, Pak Bulchoh. I'm all long-term my friend, so I was very impressed with the presentation. Also, Dr. Hoang from Vietnam, also Parachai from Thailand. I saw now I'm familiar with some of the colleagues now. So my question to Bulchoh, I learned from you, very interesting point. I think also today I learned from Pak Agie and Dr. Hoang. I think that there are very important research and all improved early warning system. It's very impressive. And my question to Bulchoh, so we need to improve the underground, so how to address the fire response. And that is my concern. And you pointed out fire occur, and then the most people going and they are going out, and only the people there, like the FM News staff member, they stay there. Only they are maybe key persons. So my question, how can I think increase some contribution to the fire prevention, and I think this is an important challenge. And I like to receive your some comment. And also, I like to ask Dr. Hoang. In Indonesia, I learned that in somehow the one like some program or campaign to reduce the burning of agriculture waste. So zero burning of agriculture waste. I think this is also very common the cause of the fire. So in Vietnam, do we have any other similar initiative to reduce the burning of agricultural waste? I think this is interesting. Yeah, this is my two questions. One, I'm sorry to Bulchoh. I enjoyed the presentation, like local innovation. So I like it. Yeah, motorbike on the spot. Some of the motorbike go quickly and then address. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. A good point. I mean, local wisdom, local knowledge, but local action. I like very much. Once again, congratulations, Sri, the wonderful speaker, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you, Pak Putra.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ma. Pak George, are you still there? Okay.
Thank you very much for the question, Dr. Ma, and also very nice to at least virtually meet you again. It has been a long time. Challenges in strengthening FMU roles. Allow me to answer in this way. I mean, we all in the fire community know that with climate change and with the changing weather patterns, the likelihood of an El Nino or the likelihood of extended droughts will be there in the future. And it might not be next year, we don't know, but we know for sure that we are living on a tinderbox, especially if you looked at if you're looking at the drained peat areas in Indonesia or anywhere. So for me, it's really essential that fire prevention is essential. So based on the data from BMKG and so on, the attention of policymakers, the attention of budget responsibilities to do something before the fire starts. And this is, in my opinion, everywhere in the world still a big challenge that actually, politicians, they don't look at fire prevention when it's raining. Why should we allocate funds with it? But that would actually be the most successful way of reducing fire risks if there would be continuous extension work on agroforestry, if there would be continuous extension work on re-wetting of peat areas, and if land tenure issues would be addressed. However, reality in many cases is that big funds are coming in a fire emergency. A lot of funds, sometimes also wasted, are going into fire attack. And we all know from the news that wherever we have these extreme droughts, be it in the US, be it in Portugal, be it in Greece and Spain, it's very, very challenging. And there is no difference between countries in these challenges that we have. So my main challenge for fire prevention, or actually for the fire issue here in the tropics, as mentioned by Pak Agie from BMKG, if 99% of the fires are human caused, the focus of funds, the focus on attention should be on fire prevention. That would be for me, or is one of the most biggest challenges, to raise awareness that work on fire prevention is the most crucial one. And you do that, of course, with local knowledge, with stuff on the ground. This might be the KBH stuff, but of course also the Mangada Agni stuff that is there on a constant basis, and it's working with communities. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Pak George. Is there something to say, Dr. Hoang?
Yeah, thank you for your question. Similar to you, I enjoy the picture of the motorbike. Yeah, great example of innovation. Yeah. So for the burning of the residuum from agriculture, it's one of the main causes that's for forest fire, because we have a very mixed landscape where agriculture is next to forestry land. But the main trend is we seeing less and less burning of the residue. So the burning, it's actually it's made like by mistake, but most of the time they collect and sell it. We have a very it's the whole industry to collect the biomass, both from agriculture and residue from timber harvesting for making biomass fuel. Yeah, that's the main trend. But yeah, sure, the preventing burning residue is one of the main challenges to prevent forest fire.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hoang. I think we have the same situation with the Indonesia, Dr. Hoang, that most of maybe more than 90% of the 99% maybe cause of the fire is from the human caused fires. But so this one is related, I think, related to the question from Dr. Wida. Dr. Wida said, asked what is the validation for the SPARTAN, as if we know that for Indonesia and also Vietnam and also Malaysia, I think most of the cause of the fires was from the human caused fires. Dr. Wida, can you ask directly to Pak Agie for this? Dr. Wida. Dr. Wida, are you still there? Okay, maybe I will read Dr. Wida questions to the Pak Agie. I think it's related to the SPARTAN, I think. The first one is the ATM, is it at the validation stage? And the second was, I would like to know on what parameters should the validation be triggered. And the third one is, how frequent are the data collected real time? And also there's another question from Bu Wida, that I believe the more interaction of data from prediction to the actual ground data will make the warning system more trustworthy. Hence, the threshold values need to be set. Any comments, Pak Agie?
Yeah, thank you, Pak Indra, and also Bu Wida for delivering the questions. Before I suggest these following questions, may I a bit give another suggestions on the early discussions that if we talk about the predictions capacity, it's clear that now we can talk about the long range predictions. We can talk about the seasonal predictions, and I also do agree that the prevention or the warning is also need to consider with the anthropological aspect. We need to talk about the human also. That's a really basic or another approach that we need to define here for the early warnings, as Pak George's experiences with the difference, the local wisdom, local characteristic of the people is really also to understand, and we can deliver really good forecasts and interventions. And related with the other questions that I will start with because so many questions with the threshold, which is also so many study on the threshold base for the FBRS. So I can show you maybe another time that on the SPARTAN platform, if you have a look on the website in the future, you can set up your own standard, actually, the threshold, and you can make the study with that. So that's actually I think my idea is going to be same with the other participants, that may not all the standard threshold will be really workful for all the nations. So please, if you're interested to work on this, do the validations on it, and we can use the new threshold on it. So Of course, the validations process is the part of BMKG also developed. I can, to be honest, on the BMKG state right now, I work very much on the transformations, Indra. I transform from the basic FDRS to be the platform first. So,
nice.
of course, it's going to be need huge collaborations for the validations. We not really say that our model is going to be good or the best model, but of course, with your input, we can start to increase the performance, and also we can study not just only about the weather aspect, but also the soil, the characteristic of the ground, and we can work with the validations. And also the other questions with the time frame of the collected real-time data. Of course, in the BMKG, we have so many different approach with the observations or ground truth data. But if we talk about the forest, so I can say that not so many equipment working well on the remote side. Yeah, so we in BMKG also we manage very fruitful on the data that managed by the common office or stations. Yeah, we have so many automatic weather stations, but also we also need to cleansing and also QC on those data. Of course, the frequent or the collecting time of data, if we're talking about the weather, of course, is regularly in the hourly and also 3 hourly. But also, if you're asking about the data of the validations, of course, it's based on the study. Yeah, we did the site visit, site study. Of course, BMKG cannot fulfill all the trials, so we need your help on these validations, and we can work with that to find the best trigger or threshold on the performance. I hope it's answering the detailed questions, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Agie. Yeah, I know that changing the platform will need more energy and some extra work, Pak Agie. So semangat, Pak Agie. So I think we will help, yeah, all of the institution here just to validate and also to formulate the better idea and better maybe that kind of threshold and something just like that to become the to produce the more and powerful FDRS and also another fire prevention system. Okay, thank you so much for the discussion. It's a very nice discussion, and I feel this scientific atmosphere is very nice. But time is limiting us, so may I conclude and summarize some of our discussion today. So from the first and the second and third presenters, we can learn that we know that each of the institution, like the BMKG Indonesia and also the Vietnam Academy of Forest Sciences, already taking the important role in prevent the forest and fires. And also we understand the importance to respond in the best way related to the forest and land fires based on the disaster risk knowledge and detection, monitoring, and the forecasting of the hazard possible consequences. And the Indonesian FDRS, we know has been developed well, but I think this still needs some improvement, yeah, Pak Agie, based on this changing platform. And also, I think you need also some collaboration, yeah, between all of the stakeholders here. As Pak George said, that communication, coordination, and knowledge management sharing between stakeholders is a must. So I think I may conclude that it's time to collaborate. Yeah, it's time to collaborate for its stakeholders in local Indonesia and also internationally to getting the better and powerful FDRS, yeah, and also other forest fire prevention system that touch, yeah, that touching also the need of the field and also the local need, yeah, in each respective area. I think that's the important message for the meetings today. I think hopefully we can can broaden our knowledge and our understanding on how much effort have been done, yeah, to just produce some better equipment, yeah, to prevent our area from further devastating fire and land fires. Okay, I think that's all for me. That's all from me. And before, thank you for all of your attention, your discussion, and your participation here. I really like this scientific atmosphere, and hopefully we can meet again in the next webinar series. But before closing, may we take some picture session, Robbie?
Okay, thank you.
And
Indra.
before that, I ended this session by saying Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, everyone, and sleep safe every time and everywhere. Okay, Pak Robi, please.
Okay, thank you for the session on cam. 4 slide, 1 slide. Okay, thank you. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. 2 slide. Okay, on cam. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 3. And okay, thank you, Pak Indra.
Okay, thank you, Robi.
Welcome to the third series of webinar on capacity building on forest and land fire management.
Dr. Hoang, and so Dr. Ma, Bu Lailan, thank you so much.